Long ago, in a quiet valley cradled by mountains, there stood two villages facing one another across a glittering river. On the eastern bank was Eastbrook. On the western side was Westbrook. The river between them shimmered in the sunlight like a ribbon of silver, beautiful and calm to the eye. Yet for years, it had also been a line of division, a boundary that separated not only land, but hearts. The people of Eastbrook and Westbrook did not simply live apart. They distrusted each other. They spoke in slightly different dialects, traded different goods, and told different stories about the past. At the center of their separation stood an old wooden bridge. It stretched across the river faithfully, its planks weathered by wind and time. Once, it had carried merchants, children, and laughter from one side to the other. But now, it stood empty, coated in dust, avoided like an unwelcome memory. Many years earlier, someone from Eastbrook had stolen food from Westbrook during a harsh winter. No one remembered the thief's name. Some doubted the story's details, but the wound it created was kept alive in every retelling. Mistrust grew quietly, like weeds spreading between stones. Whenever a child asked why they could not cross the bridge, the elders would respond with the same firm words: "Those people are not like us." And so, generation after generation grew up believing distance was safer than connection. One summer morning, as sunlight poured warmly over the valley, a young boy from Eastbrook named Liam wandered toward the riverbank to play. He liked the quiet hum of the water and the feeling of smooth stones beneath his feet. That day, something unusual caught his attention. In the middle of the old bridge lay a small pair of shoes. They were muddy and worn, but carefully placed side by side, as though waiting for someone. Curiosity overcame hesitation. Liam stepped onto the bridge, something he had never done before, and walked slowly toward the shoes. When he looked up, he noticed a girl about his age standing on the opposite side. She had dark hair tied back loosely and eyes filled with cautious hope. She gave him a small wave. "My name is Ella," she called gently. "I left those for you." Liam blinked in confusion. "For me? Why?" Ella stepped a little closer, though she did not fully cross. "The stones near your side are sharp," she explained. "I've seen children slip there. My brother once fell and cut his feet badly. I don't want anyone else to feel that pain." Liam looked down at the shoes again. They were clearly small, likely her only pair. No one from Westbrook had ever spoken to him before, let alone offered him something so personal. He felt a strange tightening in his chest, a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. Without overthinking, he slipped off his own sandals and placed them beside hers. "Then you should have these," he replied quietly, "so you don't get hurt either." For a brief moment, neither spoke. The river flowed beneath them, steady and patient. Then Ella smiled, not the shy smile of a stranger, but the beginning of a friendship. The next morning, villagers from both sides noticed the two pairs of shoes resting in the center of the bridge. Whispers spread quickly. "Who left them?" Some asked. "Is this a trick?" Others wondered. Suspicion had lived too long in their minds to disappear overnight. Yet no one removed the shoes. Days passed. People began visiting the bridge out of curiosity. Some came out of concern. Others came simply because they had heard there was something unusual to see. A woman from Westbrook left a small bouquet of wildflowers beside the shoes. A baker from Eastbrook placed a loaf of bread wrapped in cloth nearby. Children from both villages, braver than their elders, began meeting cautiously at the center, exchanging pebbles, ribbons, and laughter. What had once been a silent structure began to hum with quiet life. The dusty planks carried footsteps again. The air above it no longer felt heavy with resentment, but light with possibility. One evening, as the sun painted the mountains in shades of gold and amber, the elders from Eastbrook and Westbrook gathered at opposite ends of the bridge. They had watched the small offerings grow day by day. They had seen their children cross and return unharmed. They had heard laughter drifting across the water, a sound they had almost forgotten. Slowly, they stepped forward until they met at the center. Their eyes moved from the shoes to the flowers, to the simple tokens of kindness that now lined the bridge. For a long moment, no one spoke. Finally, the eldest among them cleared his throat. His voice was weathered, but steady. "We built this bridge to cross the river," he said. "Yet it seems our children have taught us how to cross something far greater." The others nodded quietly. Pride had kept them apart for years. Fear had justified the distance. But here, before them, lay undeniable proof that generosity, even from the smallest hands, could soften the hardest hearts. That night, torches were lit on both riverbanks. One by one, villagers stepped onto the bridge and crossed fully for the first time in decades. They carried bread, fruit, woven blankets, and stories. They shared meals beneath the stars. The river still flowed between Eastbrook and Westbrook, but it no longer divided them. The bridge had come alive again, not merely as wood and rope, but as a symbol of renewal. Years passed, and the valley flourished in ways neither village had imagined. Trade increased. Festivals grew brighter. Children grew up with friends on both sides of the river, never fully understanding why their grandparents had once feared crossing. Liam and Ella grew older too. What began as a simple exchange of shoes became the foundation of a lifelong friendship. As adults, they worked together to strengthen the bridge, replacing worn planks and reinforcing its beams. They wanted it to stand not just as a structure, but as a reminder. At the entrance of the bridge, they placed a wooden sign. The words carved into it were simple. "This bridge once divided us. Now it reminds us that kindness can build what pride has broken." Visitors would often pause to read it. Some would run their fingers across the carved letters. Others would stand quiet, lie, reflecting on their own divided relationships. Families separated by misunderstandings, friends torn apart by stubborn words, neighbors distanced by assumptions. The truth carried by the bridge was not complicated. Walls are built by fear. They rise quickly, fueled by suspicion and old stories. Bridges, however, are built by courage, by small acts of generosity that challenge the narratives we inherit. It took only a pair of worn shoes to begin healing years of separation. Not speeches, not grand gestures. Just one child choosing empathy over inherited resentment. And perhaps that is the lesson that echoes far beyond the valley. Every community, every family, every heart has its own river, some visible, others invisible. We all stand at the edge of bridges we are afraid to cross. We remember old hurts. We repeat old warnings. We convince ourselves that distance is protection. But sometimes, all it takes is a simple act of kindness placed gently in the middle of that divide. A conversation offered first, an apology given freely, a helping hand extended without guarantee of return. When you give even something as small as a pair of shoes, you are not just meeting a need, you are building a path where trust can walk, a path where understanding can grow, a path where love, once separated by fear, can find its way home. So today, ask yourself, what bridge in your life stands dusty and unused? And what small act of generosity might begin to bring it back to life? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heartwarming English stories only on English Life Tales.